Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. All right, so the counter says you have less than 3 days to work out your, well, less than 2 days, beg your pardon, to work out your ultimate 11. 18 hours and 50 minutes actually left on the clock. That's when voting closes. And based on what the fans have been doing online, the midfield looks like this. Let's have it. Let's have the live looking. We're going to have it anytime now, like abracadabra. Finger on the button, Keena Johnson. Press it, my friend. Here we go. So, what they've said, well, that's the... All right, good. So, we're at the midfielders now. So, if we go back to the top, they say... Well, we're going to the strikers. All right, we're going to come to that. So, based on the midfield, the leaders... I can tell you here from my thing. We're putting it up on the screen for you in short order. Xavi Hernandez, 24.54%. Iniesta, 35.16%. Both those are gone. Zidane, 83.52%. Lothar Matthus, 20.51%. He's gone as well. Garrincha, 8.06%. They tossed him out. Zico, 12.09%. He lives because of Wayne Lewis's benevolence. So the outstanding Brazilian still alive, 12.09%. Luis Figo, 13.19%. Johan Cruyff, 43.59% for arguably the Dutch country's best player. Diego Maradona, 65.57%, almost insulting. So Bobby Charlton is gone, 5.13%. Rivellino, sent packing by a certain fellow, 4.03%. Enzo Francesco, 0.37%. He is still alive as far as the panelists are concerned. Michel Platini, can you believe? 8.06%. And Ronaldinho, 76.19%. On day one of the two-day midfielder debate, there was a comment on the Zone that really had people going. We had to chop the shortlist from 14 to 7, and a vote, the time vote, the tie-breaking vote, went to a certain man, not from Galilee. Gentlemen of the panel, we come back to you. We want a vote. Zico and Rivellino. One has to go. We have to do this quickly. Chris, which one are you saving? Zico or Rivellino?
I have to save Rivellino.
All right. Tennyson, Zico or Rivellino?
I'm saving Zico.
Oh dear. Brent, who are you saving? Zico or Rivellino?
Austin, vote.
I'd like to save Zico, and I saved my reputation here in Trinidad as well.
All right.
Get Zico back in.
So do we need to go further, Mr. Producer, or do you have your answer? Confirm here, Zico or Rivellino?
I would save Rivellino.
Oh dear. And you are, who is it?
I have to choose one?
Yes.
I have to save Zico. I love Rivellino.
Right, Zico is it then. Zico is it by virtue of Wayne's vote. So Zico is saved.
He's saved.
And Rivellino goes. Yeah, let's just say that the Save Zico campaign has landed Wayne Lewis in hot water with many football fans who say that he must be a madman for picking one Brazilian over the other. So that means that the men out, Iniesta, Rivellino, Garrincha are gone. Matthus, Figo, gone as well. And the two more to follow them through, Sir Bobby Charlton and Xavi, also gone, leaving us with 7 men standing. So it's the decision gets very, very difficult now because some absolutely outstanding players, legends of the game, are going to have to be sent packing this afternoon. Wayne, you have your list in front of you.
Yes.
Have you whittled down your final for it without telling me?
Absolutely.
Was it easy for you?
Very difficult, but in the end, it comes down to who you like more, and therefore I just decided to go with my 4. So I'm good.
Mr. Whittaker.
Yeah, I have my 4.
You've had your 4 from the weekend.
Well, I did, but I have to adjust it now because Lothar Matthus was in my original
Why would
4.
you have had Lothar Matthus?
Oh, he's a midfield general, central midfield, one of the greatest of all time.
But
in that position.
The same thing can be said for many on the list. So what makes him more special than those who
his temperament, and how organized he is as an individual.
Tough tackling.
He doesn't make errors. He doesn't make errors.
I just think that he was just, yes, he was tough and so on, but he wasn't as charismatic. He wasn't as brilliant.
Tough how? Explain tough. Because
I'm saying to you, he wasn't as brilliant and as creative as some of the other guys. And yes, he represented Germany well and all of that, but I don't see him with the level of class that is here. I don't see him in that level.
That's what Wayne said yesterday, lack of class.
He represented Germany well, but you have more classes than him.
I don't think you could accuse Lothar Matthus of lacking class. I hear you
Compared
about
to
the creativity, but his role as a central midfielder didn't require the creativity that you're talking about.
Well,
that wasn't the role of a central midfielder.
Yeah, but the fact remains that he's up against these guys, and we have to take all those things into consideration. And on that basis,
so all of your midfielders are going to be attacking, creative, front moving midfielders. What about the anchor?
I would appreciate if you'd allow me to just say it my way.
Okay, there you go. Pause on that, gentlemen, because we have to go to our friends here with us to make the difficult selections. Our special guest panel there on Zoom. Brent Sancho is the anchor. He needs no introduction, a firm part of the SportsMax family. Brent, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon to your viewers. Good afternoon to the panelists. And of course, good afternoon to those in studio. And special hello to Wayne. I know it's probably been a tough afternoon for you yesterday.
All right. Tenny Glasglow, former St. Lucia international midfielder. He is also a journalist. He's with us. Tennis, are you there? Tennis, are you there? Tennis, it sounds as if the Arsenal fan is... Are you there, Mr. Arsenal fan? Tennis in Glasgow?
Probably gone to training, George. Yeah. Arsenal started training.
Yeah, they need to train extra early because they're not so very good. And the international recording artist turned synthetic surface football superstar, Christopher Martin. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, man, I'm here, man.
Man, I'm shades today.
Tennis is actually here as well, because I can see him.
You can see him. Tennis, are you hearing us?
He gave us a thumbs up, so he's definitely here
all right.
as well.
He needs to sort his mic out, Chris. All right.
And I have up Wayne. Wayne, I have him up from yesterday. Big time.
What did he do, Chris? What did he do?
No,
I'm hearing you guys.
There is tennis. But Wayne, I have him up for that decision. I don't know how. Oh gosh, man.
All right.
It hurt me. I had to go back and look last night. I looked at Rivellini and I went back and I looked at Zico. Two great ballers, man. But oh gosh, man.
So why me? Why me? I wasn't the only one.
Let's look at this. Let's look at the profile of these 7 players for the benefit of those who don't have the access to the info as we do. So Johan Cruyff, only the runner-up, led Holland to second place in the 1974 World Cup, where he was the Golden Ball winner. He won 8 Eredivisie titles. He won La Liga and Copa del Rey with Barca. World Cup all-time team 1994, he would have been given that honor. And of course the Ballon d'Or, 71, 73 and 74 when he was the best player in the world. This man had his own move. They called it the Cruyff turn, Lance Whittaker, and nobody can argue about his greatness.
Yeah, I think he was my first favorite footballer.
Yeah.
Growing up, Johan Cruyff was my first favorite footballer in the early 70s, mid-70s.
Tennis, now quick word on the Dutch master, Johan Cruyff.
Well, I'm a Dutchman myself. As a matter of fact, if you could have a move named after you, not only the move, but to bring in the total football concept, that alone tells you the quality of the man, Johan Cruyff.
Hear you on that. All right, let's look at a player that I rate highly, but Brent Sancho and myself seem to be the only 2 men in the world, well, this side of the world, who rate Enzo Francesco. Let's go. Look at the Prince from Uruguay. 5-time Argentina Premier Division winner with River Plate. 1-time South American Super Cup winner. He won the French Division 1 with Olympique Marseille. 3-time Copa America winner. 84 and 95, he was a South American Footballer of the Year and the man who ensured that Maradona never won a Copa America with Argentina. Enzo Francesco, the Prince. Let me hear you on this. I'm coming back to you, Tennis, for your reaction to Francesco is still staying alive in this selection.
The thing about Enzo Francescoli, as a matter of fact, Zidane modeled his game after Enzo Francescoli. So if you have Zidane in there and Enzo still there, I think Zidane is an upgrade to Enzo, as much as Enzo was a top player, but majority of what he did, or his accolades, was down in South America. We see, not really in terms of the World Cup stage, and like you mentioned, not much persons know of Enzo, but he was a remarkable player. But I think because Zidane is in there, and Zidane is a much more improved or much better product than Enzo, would go with Zidane over Enzo anytime. But he was a top player, but not classy enough per se to get past the likes of Zizou in that particular midfield.
Shame on you, Tennis. The first picture I cut out of a newspaper was Enzo Francesco in the number 10 of River Plate, but I won't hold it against you, my friend. Zidane's first son, incidentally, is named Enzo after Enzo Francesco. Let's look at Diego Maradona. Brent Sancho, talk to me about the man many regard to be the best ever.
I think this is the easiest task I've had since I've been on this program to talk about Diego Maradona. Look, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Diego Maradona is arguably the best footballer in the world. Is just without even talking about his stats, and just of course from viewing the man and the way he played the game, the freedom, the fluency. He did things in his time what other players could only dream of doing. He dominated football games, and I think that is a key. He's one of the few on this panel that can take the game by the scruff of the neck, despite the type of teammates that he had around him, and could win a football game single-handedly, consecutively. Done it at Napoli, he's done it for Argentina, of course, and he's that type of player that when you talk about the world's greatest, the best ever to play the sport, it's very hard to leave Diego Maradona out of that conversation.
Platini, Brent, stay with us because you're a huge Juventus fan, and for much of the 80s, this man was the best number 10 in world football and went to the 1986 World Cup that Maradona eventually starred. Platini went to that World Cup as the best number 10 in world football, Brent Sancho.
And this is where my problem lies, because Platini is the player that made me fall in love with Juventus as a player. Him and, of course, one Zibi Boniak as well. Two players that was standout. But Platini in particular, he put tears in my eyes as a Brazilian fan. Of course, when they knocked out Brazil out of that World Cup, I believe it was in 1986, Platini and the French team. But look, he's a player of great grace, extremely talented in the ball, vision for a midfielder. I think he was one of the first players that could put a pass, as they said, put a thread through a needle. He was a visionary type of midfielder, and he dictated the tempo of the game many times when he played. Outstanding player, and of course I think once we go along in this program, he's probably going to come up against Zinedine Zidane, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Chris, I'm not leaving you out. Ronaldinho, talk to me about the guy who permanently played with a smile and was just magical, Chris.
Listen, Ronaldinho is arguably the best player on this list. You understand? Trust me. I fell in love with football. Ronaldinho is that player for me. You understand? And I feel like he's so good if he didn't get bored because he won everything at such a young age. I think that he could still be playing right now. You understand?
Yes.
That speaks to the talent of the man, Ronaldinho. He can fit into any team. You understand? If you put him into an Italian team, whoever is playing his position in the midfield in the Italy, he'll have to get that game. If you put him in Argentina, he'll have to get the starting position. If you put him in the English team, you can't say that for a lot of players. Anywhere you put that footballer, like Ronaldinho, he cannot play on the bench for nobody. He cannot sit on the bench. He has to be in the starting 11. Ronaldinho is the man, you know.
All right.
Easily. That is one player who has to be in the last four. This isn't even like so you can just give him that position from now. You can just
Chris,
one safe player.
Chris, quit influencing the ballot. You'll have your own vote, all right? Let me ask you about Zico. Quickly, Chris.
You can ask my fellow panelists, they will agree with me that one player that is certainly safe is Ronaldinho.
Chris, talk to me about Zico before you go. Quick one on Zico. Give me 20 seconds on Zico.
All right, and I don't want nobody vexed over this. Rivellino should have listen to me. Wayne, you hurt me. You made a big blunder yesterday. You understand? I will forgive Brent, you know, because Brent has Trinidad to think about, and he does. You understand? he had to go with Zico. You understand? But listen to me, Wayne, we had it, and you dropped the ball.
All right, Wayne, on that point, Zidane, you voted Zidane off. Quickly tell us why.
Because Platini is there.
Yeah.
And I think Platini is a more classier player than Zidane. I didn't like the buck thing.
Yeah.
That, you
The
know,
headbutt on Materazzi, yes.
And at a crucial stage in a World Cup game, and you lost it to that point for him to do that, and he was sent off. And Italy, I think, won the game. So therefore, I am not a Zidane man. I think that, I don't know if it's because of his name or what he did in that one World Cup when they beat Brazil. Or they like his name, or they like his look, or whatever. But I don't know that he's the classiest footballer out there. And so with Michel Platini there and then a Frenchman, I have to go with Platini.
All right, gentlemen, we have to vote now. We have to drop 3. That's what we have to do now. So we've spoken about all of them, so we don't need to deliberate over the names that we're dropping. Chris, you're the first man. Which 3 are you dropping from the 7?
Zico is my first pick.
You're dropping Zico, all right? And which 2 others?
Listen. This is where it gets hard. That was the easiest choice for me. So Zico, definitely. Gosh, man. It's I personally feel like, you know, Platini and Zidane have similar kind of vibes where it's very difficult for one footballer to take the ball away from any of them. You understand? Yeah, you have to really get into their space to try and win the football. But I feel like Zidane is a more complete player. You understand? Zidane will give you a bit more than Platini.
Chris, Chris, I know we are pressed against time, Chris, but I have to tell you this. Michel Platini was 3 times the top scorer in Serie A. He scored 224 goals in his career from 430 odd games. He was for a long time France's leading all-time goal scorer from midfield. Be very careful what you say about Platini. So proceed again, my friend. Drop the other 2 for me.
I appreciate this, and I appreciate the facts that you are throwing at me. I appreciate it. But I will have to stick with my guns. So Zico, and I have to let go of Platini.
And one more.
Jaja. I'm going to think about it. So I'll give you 2 right now.
All right. We'll come back to you. Brent, what say you about, who are you dropping from the 7?
Well, I'm going to go with the hard part of it first. And of course, it's a straight debate between Platini and Zinedine Zidane. And a lot of this has to do with the fluidity of the formation that we have, which is a 4-4-2. So you need 2 central midfielders, and you need players to play out wide. And that being said, it's almost impossible to differentiate between Platini and Zidane. The only thing that I can go on to decide one of the 2 is the fact that Zidane did it both in Serie A, and of course he did it at Real Madrid, which I think he played better in the Spanish La Liga. And of course, he did it on the world stage. And that's the only reason I'm giving Zidane a very slight nudge over Platini. It's a difficult one, but I would go, of course, to keeping Zidane. But Platini is going to be out for me. Zico is going to be out. And I'll have to come back, of course, to the 3rd one, because it now sits with one of my favorite players, which is Francescoli, against Johan Cruyff. And that's where I'm at. The other 3 are very much safe in my eyes.
We'll come back to you then.
Maradona is safe, and Ronaldinho is safe.
All right, Tennis, give me your 3. The other men give me 2 and say the 3rd one after the break. Give me your 3 now if you can.
My 3 is Zico out, Francescoli out. And
let's hear it.
and Platini out.
No, this is, you know what, we're going to the break, you know, but you know what, so both the 3 men, the expert panel has eliminated Michel Platini, who in my book was 39 times better than Zidane, but you have your own say. So Platini goes, Zico goes, Zico could have always gone, yeah, and Francescoli has been sent packing by Tennyson, and Chris and Brent are to come back with their third. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to finish this up. This is the SportsMax Ultimate 11. The men are under pressure, but the fans online have spoken loud and they've spoken clear. Let's tell you what they say after these.
The SportsMax Ultimate 11 in football, and we are trying to zero in on 4 midfielders. And based on the output from our panelists, which we heard a couple of minutes ago before the break, George and Wayne, we have Tenny Glasglow, Brent Sancho, and Christopher Martin. It does appear as if Zico, Francesco,
yes, and Platini.
That's where their choices are.
No, well, one man picked Francesco. The other two didn't pick a third. But Francesco is on the bubble. He's on the bubble to go out.
To go out.
Yes, but Platini is gone. Zico is gone.
Yeah, and our votes then. What about our votes? In the three
3 to drop.
In the 3, I have my 3 that are
right.
that are out for me.
I leave Enzo out.
Yes.
Zico for sure.
Which pains you?
Yes, for sure. So I leave Zico out. I leave Enzo Francesco out. And I'm going to drop from this team, I'm going to drop Ronaldinho. I don't need Ronaldinho in this team. To do what? I don't need Ronaldinho in this team.
Well, you're the first person to say
yes,
that.
For
Wayne,
sure.
You're 3 that are out. I think I know who they are, but go ahead.
I've been blown out the water. I mean, okay, you guys gang up on me, and therefore I have to let go Zico. Because I'll be wasting my vote. Should I vote for him?
So you say Vico yesterday and are voting and dropping him. Which is what Chris is talking about. This is madness, Wayne.
No, but I have a choice. This is what I said.
No, but it's a separate vote. The vote for us as presenters is different from the vote from the panelists.
Can you both allow me to
yes, we're allowing
my selection, please?
Go ahead.
Me. So Chris and him friend them gangled upon me and therefore I had to let go Zico, right? Francesco gone. Here is when my heart really hurt now. My heart really hurt with the Michel Platini situation. I mean, Zidane. Of course, I'm not going to vote for Zidane. I talked about that because I am much more in favor of Platini. I think he's a more classier footballer. So my 3 to be out, it will be Zico, Francesco, and Zidane. Simply, I'm sticking with Platini because it made no sense. Yeah. I mean, Platini is out, and obviously Zico is out because you guys ganged up on me. But I would stick with Platini. But of course, definitely, Zico is not Zico gone, and Zidane will be out for me as well.
Yeah, my only concern here is that I am completely similar with an Arsenal fan, Tenny Glasglow. The 7 midfielders he eliminated yesterday were the exact same 7 I eliminated. And I'm eliminating Zico, Francesco and Platini, which is exactly what Tenny Glasglow said. So I'm seeing eye to eye with Tenny Glasglow. So the panelists will, based on what we've gone through already, this is how it is looking at the moment. Ronaldinho, Zidane, Cruyff, and Maradona, the 4 midfielders. That's how it's looking at the moment, in spite of the fact that George doesn't have Ronaldinho in.
I don't need him.
Shocking.
I don't need him.
That is the most shocking vote I've heard since we've started deliberation.
I don't need Ronald. The shocking thing for me is that Platini is out. I'm saying to you, how many of those players you have finished top scorer in Serie A once, much less 3 times? How many of those players from midfield scored 220 goals in their career? Tell me that. Wait. How many of these players at a major championship like Platini did in 1984 scored 9 goals in the competition? Come on, gentlemen. We're sitting on our senses. Come on, man.
Yeah, but Zinedine was a World Cup winner.
Zidane was a World Cup winner because he started in the final. He was ordinary in the tournament. He wasn't France's best player coming up to the final. We discussed this. You didn't look at the game.
But he won it. He won the World Cup on the day that mattered.
Yes.
George, 8 years after that, he won the Golden Ball in 2006.
Stefan Guivarch won the World Cup for France in 1998. Why is he not among the strikers then, since winning a World Cup means so much?
Because that's not the only thing.
Thank you very much.
The name Zidane. Is it name you like?
Wayne doesn't like Zidane because Zidane beat Brazil in 1998, and it hurts him up to this point.
Why are you hurting me more, Lance, by saying that?
Okay. With the 4 midfielders voted on, one of our panelists still has an issue. Chris Martin, for debating purposes, let's look at Chris Martin's 11, because as there are viewers with a similar wish as Chris, we want to put this in here. Chris has his 11 to include Cristiano Ronaldo in midfield, and we have Ronaldo as a forward. And he has, so based on our Instagram and our
social
contributors
media.
online, that is an issue, because Cristiano Ronaldo is listed for us as a forward.
Yeah.
So Chris, you have a problem here, because we see where you have Christie as your left-sided midfielder, but we have him listed as a forward, and most people have been looking at him as a forward.
Well, I love Christie and everything, but he can't make it as the forward in the 11 for me.
Okay, so you accept that if he isn't accepted as a midfielder, then you could strike him out of your 11.
Yeah, man, definitely. That wouldn't even be a hard choice for me, personally. Because I can't put him above Thierry Henry. I can't put him above Ronaldo, the boss. The real Ronaldo, the boss Ronaldo. And I can't put him above Pele, the legend. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's easy for me, and I only have 2 forwards. So, that's easy for me. You understand? I can't. If Ronaldo and Messi, I don't know. They're ready for the forwards, right?
Yeah, Chris and maybe Tennyson and Brent can comment quickly on this, because a lot of these attacking midfielders also played forward positions. Messi plays attacking midfield and forward, so there are people who considered Messi as Pele was an attacking midfielder in some formats that he played and wasn't considered a forward. So quickly, Tennyson and Brent, your take on the closing in on the 2 forwards, that some of the attacking midfielders are being designated forwards and not as midfielders, as Chris alluded to, with him having Christie as a left-sided midfielder. Brent?
I think one of the critical words in there is the ultimate. Ultimate in terms of where they apply their trade. As much as you have the Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi who can play that role at given times, but they were not out-and-out strikers. And Chris mentioned some top names there, boy. You mentioned Ronaldo, the original. I mean, come on. Ultimate striker, a model of a striker. You have guys like Jude Miller, you have Pele, you have Thierry Henry. These are out-and-out strikers. These are guys people pay top dollars to see put that ball behind the net, as much as Ronaldo and Messi can do it, but that was not their design positions.
Yes.
And like I mentioned earlier, the ultimate word in what we're doing is ultimate.
Yeah.
So they were not ultimate strikers, they were makeshift strikers because of their talent and their skill level.
Yeah, Brent, your quick take on that issue before we wrap the segment.
Yeah, I think I knew this would have been an issue because of when we had to, of course, choose a formation. And we've seen both players, particularly Ronaldo and Messi, play in various positions for their clubs, and particularly, of course, the false 9 position, which is categorically almost like a midfield, half forward. And we've seen times, as Chris would have mentioned, where Ronaldo would have played out wide. He's done it for Juventus, and he's done it, of course, for Real Madrid. Messi, similarly, he's played in the midfield. I think the real question is these 2 gentlemen, both Messi and Ronaldo, are actually better than the midfielders we're about to select. And I think that is the real question, whether or not they can play a better position than the midfielders we have left in this grouping.
Yeah, well, we're left with the Wednesday and Thursday decisions for the forwards, of which we will just have 2. We thank our panelists, Chris Martin, Tenny Glasglow and Brent Sancho, for joining us, and we'll be back on Wednesday to start looking at the forwards, which we'll look at in just a moment.
Could you just allow me to say one thing to Chris? Chris, don't feel too hurt, because it's obvious that Revelino would not have made it through this round. So even though he made it to this stage, he would have been scratched today. So don't feel too badly about it. I am hurting as well, because you guys voted against Zico, and I'm hurt, and you forced me to go with Platini.
Yeah, all right. 4-4-2 is the formation, so we'll just have 2 forwards to select from a list of very, very impressive forwards. Just to confirm, the 4 midfielders confirmed for the SportsMax Ultimate 11: Ronaldinho, Zinedine Zidane, Johan Cruyff, and Diego Maradona. Very, very, very impressive midfield lineup there. Wayne, you have a message? Looking ahead to the forwards before we go to the break?
Absolutely. I mean, I found this so intriguing, and it almost depressing and frustrating yesterday when we were, scratching names and so on. And today it wasn't as badly as today compared to yesterday. I thought yesterday was grueling. But I'm so far looking forward to tomorrow because some of the voting.
What is it that you said about Pele? That's what we wanted to know.
Pele, I'm saying if Pele doesn't make this 11, I'm wearing my shades, my darkest shades, as a protest. They should not vote Pele into this final 11. That's how motivated I am.
You know, the problem with this is the formation that Brent Sancho voted on. You see, if we had gone 4-2-3-1 as I suggested, Chris Martin would have gotten his Cristiano Ronaldo in, and a lot of the problems that we have now wouldn't be there because we'd have had Koeman in defense, and we could have dropped one of the midfielders that we have now, and we would all be happy. But 4-4-2, we've handcuffed ourselves, gentlemen, with this 4-4-2. That's the problem we're having now, and that's why you left Platini out of this. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. You should go home and pray.
Tennyson wants to say something quickly. I see him jumping in here. Tennyson?
No, what I was saying is that if he went against the 4-4-2, and we went 4-2-3-1, the one striker then would have been a problem, remember?
No, it wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been Ronaldo.
That's all on. Remember, that team is built to entertain. We want to have persons come and sit in the stadium and be
exactly. I want Ronaldo run out through passes.
The 4-2-3-1. I don't want to see two guys sitting in front of a back.
But they're not sitters. They're not sitters, Tennyson. They're not sitters. That's the problem.
I want to see this team fly forward.
All right, Tennyson, we've got to run. And Chris and Brent, thanks for joining us. We'll talk again tomorrow. Some interesting update on the current fan vote on the SportsMax.tv website, which should cause Wayne Lewis some anxious moments. At the moment, 2 forwards to be selected, and Pele at the moment is at number 3 because Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, has 53%, Lionel Messi has 49%, Pele 37%, Cristiano Ronaldo 36%. So at the moment, Pele is in the number 3 spot where 2 have to be selected.
And there he shall stay.
We go to break. Back after this.